This rhetorical synthesis question says the students want to compare the two women's contribution to the March on Washington. Which choice most effectively uses relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal? Often for these types of rhetorical synthesis problems, we don't really even need to look at the text. You can really just look at what is the student trying to do. So based on what the student's trying to do, we can see they are trying to compare the two women's contributions to the March on Washington. So we need to compare, and we also need to see what are the two women's contributions. What are two women's contributions to the March on Washington? So it's important. It's going to need to be what are the two women. It can't just be what are their contributions in general, but what are their contributions to the March on Washington. So we can look through the options. Let's look at A. Hedgeman and Bates contributed to the march in different ways. Bates, for example, delivered a brief but memorable address. So I get Bates. What did Bates do? What is Bates' contribution? But I'm not really sure what is Hedgeman's contribution. So we need the two women's contributions. So that's kind of where that falls short of answering the students, giving relevant information for the student's claim. B then says Hedgeman works in politics and helped organize the march, while Bates was a journalist and school desegregation advocate. Okay, the problem here is they're not contributing to the March on Washington. I don't get an idea of what their contribution to was on this march. This is kind of more a general idea of what they did during their lifetime. So this, we can mark that as wrong because it doesn't accomplish his goal. C says, although Hedgeman worked behind the scenes to make sure a woman speaker was included, Bates was the sole woman to speak at the march. So this is good. They compare, and then what are the two women's contributions? I get an idea that Hedgeman worked behind the scenes, and then Bates was the sole woman to speak. And then did they do this to the March on Washington? Both of these were actually contributions to the March at Washington. It says at the march. So I like this one. This is a possible one. If D doesn't work, then I think we go with that one. D says many African-American women, including Bates and Hedgeman, fought for civil rights, but only one spoke at the march. Well, which woman spoke at the march? What is each contribution? I don't really get an understanding of what their contribution was. And it also says only one spoke at the march. So does that mean one woman did not contribute? We need to get both women's contributions. We need to have both women's contributions. So D cannot be the answer. That means C has to be the answer, and then we can move on.